following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Here are Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus, Rob Phillips, and Bill Jones.
Well, we've got 3/4 of that foursome here, but we do have an LSU Tiger presence here on Talkin Cowboys on the Tuesday after. David Hellman filling in for Brian Broaddus. Hello, David. How are you?
What's up, guys? Happy to bring down the average age of the show a little bit today. What's going on?
That's
significant.
That's a knock at Brian, not
yes,
you.
No,
not
definitely not
us two.
Yeah,
definitely not
that's
you.
Right. That's right. Because we're raising that average,
big time.
Yep. Well,
I'm right in the median. You know, I'm right in the center. That's good.
There you go. All right. The Texas Aggie Rob Phillips. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing very well. And the troubled Missouri Tiger, Mickey Spagnola.
Do I need to get the confetti off your shoulder?
I did wear. I
saw you had your hat on.
Yeah. My CBS Super Bowl hat. I don't know when the next time CBS has the game, but I had to go to the Super Bowl because it was on CBS, and I work for the CBS affiliate.
Was that required issue when you walked around all week?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm choosing. Normally, I don't wear CBS gear, whatever, but I kind of like the looks of this hat.
Usually, you got the Pebble Beach hat going when you're.
That's a good hat.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a good look.
So, how was your week?
It was very busy, and I'm just so glad to get back home yesterday. And I had to fight that Super Bowl airport.
Oh my gosh! I saw the lines.
Oh, I sat in the line. I stood in the lines for over an hour at the airport. And we had a 9:30 flight, and we got there at 6:30, and I stood in line for over an hour, which I will share on the show. Also on my flight was DeMarcus Ware and Emmitt Smith, so we conducted a post-game Super Bowl, an impromptu Super Bowl post-game show at Baggage Claim.
There we go.
Had some interesting things to say, which I'll pass along. Where would y'all like to start? There's been a lot going on.
Ooh.
I'll defer to the regulars
veterans?
just regulars on the show. I don't want to.
I don't know. We talked about it all last week. You weren't here.
You didn't talk about the game.
No,
we did not. We talked a lot of Kellen Moore, I think.
Yep.
That was probably the dominant factor. Mickey's got all these papers. You have to have something you want to talk about today.
And
we got a lot. We're going to talk about that Super Bowl.
We can talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. Of course, the news was made official. Was it Friday? About Kellen Moore becoming the offensive coordinator. And then we had the tragic news of Wade Wilson passing away on Friday also. How about Super Bowl and your takeaway and maybe what the Cowboys can learn from that game?
Offensively or defensively?
Okay, Mickey has always said offense wins championships.
Oh, here we go. You flipping on us now?
What's that?
Offense wins championships?
Well, the only team that scored a touchdown won.
There you go. You can always spin it back.
That's all I know.
Now, wait a second, though. Since the season ended here, you've been saying, really, if you want to flip it around, what needed to change was a better defensive effort.
Yeah.
In one game, the biggest game of the year.
That doesn't make sense.
But you know what?
But overall, what got them to the game? Their defense.
Yeah. But what faltered in the biggest game of the season?
Both.
Defense. Yeah. They scored 22 points.
They had 15 with 2 minutes left.
The 60 minutes don't count?
22 points isn't good.
Yeah, 13 isn't either. They outscored the Patriots.
Total outlier. Complete outlier.
All I know
scoring
is
game
they
in
scored
53 years.
They scored 9 more points than the Patriots did against that defense.
The lowest scoring Super Bowl ever.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this.
I don't know why
that's a stat.
No, it's
from the Rams game.
It's from the
Rams game.
Where's the? You're not supposed to do this. Oh, there we go. Okay. 1 of 10 on third down. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I had it right. 1 of 10 on third down.
Who's that?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys
22
against
points.
the Rams.
No.
22 points.
No, at 22 points
What
is
was the
not
final score?
good.
What was the score?
30-22.
And what was the score of the Super Bowl?
13-3.
What was the score last year's Super Bowl?
What was the score of last year's Super Bowl? And the Super Bowl before that?
I'm
and
talking
the Super Bowl
about they
before
didn't
that.
play the Rams last year or the year before that or the year before that. So how did the Cowboys score 22 points with their measly offense? And the brilliant Tom Brady had 13.
It's a great question. It was a weird postseason, to be perfectly honest with you.
And how many points did the Saints score against the brilliant Rams?
23.
Yeah, one more than the Cowboys, and they had overtime.
That would have beaten them.
But we all know that scoring drops in the postseason. That's not new.
That's not my point.
What you still have to have is to be able to sustain drives and keep plays going. Keep
the teams
drives
that
going.
won didn't score a lot of points.
The Patriots needed 38 to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
Right, but against the team the Cowboys got beat by, how many did they score?
13.
Okay. I'll rest my case.
The lowest scoring Super Bowl.
I don't care what it was.
Of all time.
Here's my
Literally
takeaway.
ever out of 53.
You give Bill Belichick 2 weeks to prepare for somebody and put a defense together that can totally confuse a young quarterback.
I'm very curious, and you're right. I mean, Bill Belichick, for my money, y'all have seen a lot more coaches than I have, but I think he's the best coach in football history. I think you could easily make an argument he's the best coach in the history of organized sport. With the way that the NFL stacks things up against,
it's built for parity right now.
It's built for parity,
In an 18-year run or whatever it is.
John Wooden and Mike Krzyzewski have some advantages on their side that Bill Belichick does not. Regardless, he's an amazing coach. But I'm curious about Brian Flores and his role in that.
Does he get to bring Belichick with him?
No, I don't think so.
No, Patricia didn't.
Patriots assistants have not been good once they've left the nest, but I'm sure he had a role in that game plan.
No doubt.
I want to see how he carries that over to the Miami Dolphins.
And that's why I think, we always
gets to play him twice.
We give Belichick so much
point.
credit because there's been such a revolving door of coaches under him there. But it's always been consistent.
The only things that have stayed the same are him, Brady, and Robert Kraft not getting in the way, I guess.
Have any of his assistant coaches been successful moving on?
I don't think Bill O'Brien's been bad. I mean, the Texans keep getting to the playoffs, but other than that, not very much.
They're like the rest of the coaches in the league.
I mean, McDaniels left, and after the Tebow experiment came back.
Come back fast enough. Romeo Crennel.
Yeah,
it's not a long list. Bill O'Brien's been pretty good, but not great. I'm sure Texans fans probably.
And I'm not looking at his coaching tree right now. Of course, Jason Garrett is on that coaching tree somehow.
He is?
I saw a report, and they were looking at the Bill Belichick coaching tree. You know why Jason Garrett is on the Bill Belichick coaching tree? That's how ridiculous these coaching
Nick
trees
Saban
can
is
be.
on it?
Because Nick Saban is on it, and
I don't
he
think
for Saban.
That's a lot of branches,
like 6
man.
degrees of Bill Belichick gets you on the coaching tree.
I think
they just want to
Garrett's-
make the tree just way out here.
I think Garrett's more on the Saban tree.
Exactly.
And
He's maybe barely on that.
Maybe we need
They're
to
2 years with him.
research the Tom Brady tree.
Meaning what? Quarterbacks that have played underneath him,
or just who was successful after they left Tom Brady,
I was thinking about this,
or who was successful before Tom Brady.
in 8 years or whenever Tom is up for Hall of Fame first ballot, who's getting in with him? To Dave's point, they've been doing this for almost 20 years. How many real Hall of Famers do they have from this dynasty, this long dynasty?
Who from the Patriots?
Now that they've won another title, maybe a lot more.
I think Gronk's going to get in one day.
Maybe Gronk and Edelman for sure get in.
Edelman's getting a
Rick
lot
Gosselin
of
will quickly point out how difficult it is for tight ends to get in.
but he's got the rings.
Gronk, well, he's got the ring. He's got the stats. In half the time he blows Jason Witten's touchdown numbers out of the water.
Honestly, somebody else has to get in besides Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and Edelman's got a case now with just postseason numbers. Jerry Rice, that's a lot of buzz right now.
Is Robert Horry in the NBA Hall of Fame?
He might be because it's basketball.
He's not.
It's everything, but
he isn't.
Okay.
I looked this up, but
Does
Wes Welker get in?
That's another one.
Welker's got a better case than Edelman.
But I'm trying to think some of the top guys they've had in the past, Brewski, McGinnis, are they? They're not. Are they in?
Can I Y'all can scoff at me. I don't know. I was surprised when I learned that Ty Law made the Hall of Fame. I knew he was a good player.
Oh, he got in the other day. Yeah. I looked it up. I mean, he was an all-decade player, made a lot of Pro Bowls.
I knew he was a good player. I didn't realize he was a Hall of Fame player.
There was a lot of criticism about that pick.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Well, I mean, the accolades aren't a lot of different from a Darren Woodson or somebody like that who's got 3 Super Bowl rings as well. But my point is, to your point, it's not chock full of Hall of Famers the last 15 years. It's a system and a great quarterback and a great coach.
Tom Brady.
Belichick will be there one day too.
Sure.
That's worth mentioning. And then, it depends on what's your definition of a Patriot? Like is
Moss.
Is Randy Moss a Patriot?
That gets back. I had tweeted this out. Okay, from a Cowboys perspective, we look at former Cowboys in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And how come Mike Ditka is not on the list?
That's
And how come even Herb Adderley is not on the list? When you look, now I understand Herb Adderley only played 2 years, but he had perhaps his second best season in his NFL career when he played on a Super Bowl champion team with the Cowboys and had 7 interceptions that year. And yet we never list Herb Adderley because we think of Herb Adderley as being a Packer.
And he was.
Yeah. But even with Ditka, you're looking at Ditka, he played, I didn't realize this until I looked it up. I couldn't remember. He played 4 years with the Cowboys, caught a touchdown pass in a Super Bowl, and, of course, then he was 9 years an assistant coach for the Cowboys. But I only think of him as being a Chicago Bear or an Eagle.
People, not a Saint, not a New Orleans Saint. People were asking me that all weekend.
But if Deion is considered a Cowboy, and Deion's on the list, and he only played 5 years.
To that point, though, I mean, there are a lot of Cowboys fans that take issue with Deion and Charles Haley being considered Cowboys. I think
Haley definitely belongs because he was a key reason that the Cowboys were.
And T.O.'s not
3-time
considered
champion.
Although this is not like baseball. You don't go in with a hat or a helmet.
Yeah,
Right,
but
and
the
T.O.'s
Cowboys
another one.
claim their numbers. They don't claim Adderley.
People were asking me all weekend because I wrote the story about Gil Brandt going in. I wrote it over the weekend, and
it's 17 is the list.
That's people were asking me like, well, what are you talking about? What about this guy? What about that guy? That is the number that the Dallas Cowboys claim. Which I mean, ultimately, it's up to the discretion of, I would assume, Jerry Jones, and so it's his idea of what a Cowboy is, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been taken to his desk or not.
I don't know
because it's not.
What does the numerology wall say?
Well, it says 16 right now.
You ought to know.
17.
It's outdated.
They have an order to 7, I'm guessing, but it'll be there soon. But no, I talk about that all the time. I grew up a New Orleans Saints fan, and they do not have the proud tradition of the Dallas Cowboys. So if you're a Saints fan, you're claiming whatever Hall of Famer you can.
Now,
whereas the Cowboys have a little more discretion because of this legendary history. So
and then
they have the ability to be more discerning.
And there are some others who should not be considered former Cowboys in the Hall of Fame, like Forrest Gregg was only here for 1 season. Lance Allworth was only here for 1 season, and I can understand. But the ones that
what about the tight end
contributed, Jackie Smith is another one that just for 1 season, and of course had the horrendous drop in the end zone in a Super Bowl. But
sickest man in America.
Yeah, but I think the ones who contributed significantly on a Super Bowl champion team should be considered former Cowboys in the Hall of Fame. I can understand why maybe you don't claim them because there has been a narrative, which I think has been a good narrative from that decade of the 60s and the 70s, that they've overlooked a number of Cowboys players who deserve to be there. And if you're going to count Ditka and you're going to count part-time Cowboys, then that gets the number up. And it hurts your case.
And then you can't complain.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, that was just...
It is interesting. I think for the most part, they've done a good job of identifying the guys that kind of,
that belong as former Cowboys.
To bring it back to the Pats.
Let's bring it.
I mean...
Sure, I love talking about it.
Let's talk Rex Burkhead the next 10
That's
minutes.
my guy. That's my Plano Wildcat guy. If you want to try to take lessons or things from the Patriots and try to apply it to your team, good luck. I mean, to me, they're in a different category based on what they've done for 20 years, with a different cast of characters every single year, just about, or at least every decade. But the Cowboys do have a young defense you can be excited about. Obviously, that's important. if you want to take one thing for me, it's the way they protected Tom Brady in that playoff run. I think he got sacked one time in 3 games, and it was once by the Rams, and they pressured him. But overall, I think he had time in the pocket for a guy who's 41 and not that mobile. That's Mickey's point. They need to protect Dak Prescott better, but offensively, the pieces are different. You know, they rely on an elite tight end, a running back by committee. The Cowboys are the inverse of that. So I don't. It's hard to look at the Pats and say, well, if we could just be more like them. Nobody's like them.
Well, but I think that the Pats, in putting their team together, have beaten the system a little bit, and they've had to make hard decisions on players where a player gets to a point in their career where he's about to be highly paid, like a Brandon Cooks, and they dish him off. But on the flip side of that is they make a decision a couple of years ago to acquire Stephon Gilmore and pay top dollar for a cornerback, and they let Malcolm Butler go. Well, they had Malcolm Butler in-house. They knew what Malcolm Butler was all about, and they decided we still need to spend that kind of money on a cornerback, but instead of spending on the guy we know about who's maybe missed a meeting or two, we're going to go ahead and get this guy who we studied in the draft and we know is a Patriot-type player, a guy you can depend on, a professional who comes to work every day. And
you could really make the case he was your MVP the other night, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Defensive player Dante Hightower had a terrific game, too. Had a couple of sacks in the game. And, Dante Hightower is a key core player for that team, and they made the decision to keep that player because they knew what he's all about. And he's a high-character guy you can depend on and playing a key position for him. But the flexibility of their defense to be able to go from one week to the other, from a 4-3 to a 3-4 is basically a hybrid defense. It goes back to acquiring players who can fit that system. And I think one of the key factors is smart enough to be able to take coaching from week to week and say, okay, this week we're not playing like we did last week.
That right there. And it's so much easier said than done. But if there's a lesson to take, it's that, which is the ability to be and do something different depending on your opponent, which is it's not something we see from this team very often.
Well, and you can't do it with every player. And
you can't.
But you have to, and that's why Belichick is so intensive in his research coming up to the draft. He's not going to draft those players, but he might get that player 2 years from now if the Lions are stupid enough to release Kyle Van Noy. Okay. Yep. Or 4 years from now when that guy becomes a free agent, or 6 years from now like he did with a Burkhead, whatever, who just fills a role on the team, and he knows that he can depend on this guy.
And have the sense to re-sign him, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. But,
and understand how important it is to run the football.
Right.
They almost rushed for 500 yards in 3 games. 500.
They had 154 in that game.
With a lot of different guys, not just one guy.
Yeah. And I didn't see anything fancy.
And they cover themselves for injury, too, by having the running back by committee.
But again, these are new developments, and obviously, it's been 20 years, so things are going to change. But this team has gone through so many permutations, they couldn't run the ball like this,
right?
When they were 17-0, they didn't run the ball like this. They've adapted so well, and they adapt so well from week to week. I don't follow the Patriots closely. I don't have time because of our jobs here,
right.
But I read in the aftermath of the game, this was a team that ran man-to-man defense 80% of the time during the season, and then in the biggest game of the year, they backed off and played zone because they didn't think Jared Goff would be able to handle it. And they said, we're going to put, you 6 up front and trust you to handle the run, and we're just going to clog the lanes with zone coverage, and we don't think Goff can deal with it. And he couldn't. And that's amazing to have the confidence and the wherewithal to make a switch like that on the biggest stage.
Which brings me to my impromptu Super Bowl postgame show and baggage claim yesterday with DeMarcus Ware, and he was in his hotel room watching the game in Atlanta, and that's what a lot of players do. They have to go there for appearances.
Well, where are they going to be if they're not in a suite? They're not sitting in the stands.
I saw Dak at the game, and Emmett was at the game, but anyway. he said he felt bad for Wade Phillips, of course.
Sure.
How
great. I mean,
he had a great plan.
I know
too.
Mickey thinks 13 points is great, but like you hold somebody to 13 points in a Super Bowl, you should be able to win the game.
Right.
That sucks.
But he also marveled at what the Patriots did on defense. And as he, in my short little talk with him, using 3 defensive linemen and then a fast linebacker to rush on occasion, whatever, and running zone like what you're talking about. And Jared Goff just looked totally confused and rattled from the get-go in that game.
Oh, they got pressure on him.
Right. And you got
that Rams offensive line was supposed to be really good.
They have been all year.
Yeah, all year. And then they got pressure on them.
And they didn't use Gurley until really the second half, which I don't understand. Maybe they say he wasn't on the injury report.
They say he's healthy, and I can't buy it.
Something's up there. He's not healthy.
He can't.
He wasn't listed.
Okay, you led me right into Emmitt Smith. And so
what did the GOAT have to say?
He said he couldn't understand why they ran the ball, why they didn't run the ball more, and he doesn't understand this splitting reps with C.J. Anderson and Gurley. Now maybe there's something going on with Gurley. We don't know.
It worked in the divisional round.
As I brought up, what was funny was DeMarcus being so young. He was wondering why Emmett was even at the Super Bowl. Super Bowl Emmett had to inform me. Well, I won the MVP at the Super Bowl 25 years ago this year. I jumped in. It's and you know how you can't take your helmet off after you score a touchdown in the league. That was kind of from that Super Bowl. And Emmett said that at halftime of that game. Norv told him, we're going to give you the ball, we're going to give you the ball, we're going to give you the ball, which they did in the second half because they were down at halftime of that game. Michael Irvin, talking to him during the week, he was hilarious talking about Eric Williams. I asked him what his big memory was from the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and he said, I remember Big E coming in the locker room at halftime saying, an expletive. And then, Michael, did we party too much this week?
I can answer that question.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But so I brought up with Emmett. I said, okay, can you imagine? And I had to look it up. I couldn't remember the year. The Cowboys in '94 brought in Blair Thomas in December because Emmett was dealing with a shoulder issue, whatever. And so they needed a veteran backup. So it was the equivalent of bringing in C.J. Anderson this year. Can you imagine if they had brought in Blair Thomas and they were going to split reps, you and Blair Thomas on your –
I can't.
Now, they didn't make it to the Super Bowl that year, but any year, if they had done that, and he just shook his head going, there is no way I'm not getting every carry possible.
The whole thing, it's bizarre.
I read this morning, too, like the Rams didn't target a non-receiver in the passing game in the first half. And you're talking, we've spent the last 2 years just praising the Rams for the creative ways they use
Todd Gurley. It's a huge part of what Gurley does is catching the ball out of the backfield.
I'll never forget his catch and run against the Cowboys in the game last year, where he just split the safeties going down the seam and went 50 yards for a touchdown that completely changed the game. Like
C.J. Anderson can't do that.
No, not very.
He can't carry few. C.J. Anderson is like an Alfred Morris as far as catching the ball out of the backfield. Yeah. He doesn't do that. That's not his game.
I thought McVay answered the question right before kickoff about Gurley being ready to go, and it was kind of weird how he said it because he said, he's good to go. He's looking good. Well, was he looking bad previously? He didn't need to say he was looking good. So something was up after that Cowboys game.
I think those pregame interviews, they're just trying to get him over with.
No, but the way he answered it, he could have just said, "Oh yeah, fine. We're gonna use him.
Yeah,
he's ready to take whatever we give him." Well, why is he saying he's ready? Was he not ready before?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't use him that much against the Saints either.
Nope.
No.
They didn't use him that much against. No, he had a good day against the Cowboys.
He had 114 yards, I think.
On 11
right. Well,
wore him out.
35 on one carry.
Yeesh. Not good.
Not a good day.
All right, break time. We got off-season breaks here on Talkin Cowboys. All right, and
if you decide so.
No.
Ask Kent.
Is Kent there? Hello, Kent. I haven't seen Kent.
Hey, I'm here.
There's Kent. He's ready to take your phone calls. Coming up next here on Talkin' Cowboys.
Essilor has been helping Cowboys fans see better since 1972 so they don't miss a moment on the field. Get glasses with Essilor's best vision, clarity, and protection with the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package. 3 innovative technologies in one lens. For a limited time, you can double your lenses for free when you purchase the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of frames. Find a participating eye care professional and details by visiting EssilorUSA.com. That's EssilorUSA.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Dr. Pepper is the one you crave. But how do you explain that craving?
Imagine being shipwrecked on a desert island, alone. Glass-like curls of surf pound the shore with Dr. Pepper-colored waves. Surrounded by desire, but you can't drink it because it's the ocean, fish live in there. The only thing you want is Dr. Pepper, and you can't have it.
Now that is a Dr. Pepper craving. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Tommy John time. It's the off season, and you know what that means. It's time to make some trades. It's time you traded in your old, worn-out tighty-whities for the latest and greatest in men's underwear. That's Tommy John. Trust us, all Tommy John underwear features a contour pouch for mind-blowing comfort. Plus, shop exclusive Cowboys underwear at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys and get 20% off your first order.
Fight night is fast approaching. IBF welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr. set to defend his title against 4-division world champion, current WBC lightweight champion Mikey Garcia, March 16th at AT&T Stadium. You won't want to miss this highly anticipated blockbuster showdown. Tickets on sale now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticket provider of AT&T Stadium.
I went Saturday night.
Did you?
Here.
Yes, at the Star? How was that?
It was pretty good.
Get blood on you?
The undercards were much better than the...
Overcard?
Yeah, the main bout.
Mm-hmm.
The one guy, Alvarez, who had beaten Kovalev the first time around, knocked him out in the 7th round the first time after he was behind on all 3 cards. He didn't want to fight. He was just trying to land one punch to win. He didn't want to do the work.
What was that scene like?
They did a neat deal because I think they understood without a local
presence
boxer that there weren't going to be as many people, so they moved the ring close to the stands, the far, what direction? East stands, east side. Mm-hmm. And then they closed it off with black curtains. And then there was I think they said 4,700. It was pretty neat.
What would it be like to have a boxing card that was have to be probably summertime out in the Tostitos Championship?
Well, they tried that the first time.
Okay.
But they couldn't sell beer out there.
Oh.
What kind of boxing match can you go to without beer?
Oh, that's a deal breaker.
That would not be good.
But they did try it once, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, yeah, the undercards were good.
One other Super Bowl note, I mentioned Rex Burkhead. That was my favorite moment, is because I've been on the Rex Burkhead
you have.
bandwagon.
Wanted the Cowboys to draft him, wanted to sign him as a free agent.
Well, I'll take you further back. And Rob Phillips has he came in here saying his guy won the Super Bowl, and he's my guy. So why is he your guy?
Oh, we're both Plano basketball alums. We played for the same coach. He won the state title, I think.
As a freshman.
As a freshman.
He played on varsity as a freshman, could dunk.
Yeah, good player, great athlete, really great kid.
Not Plano East, not Plano West, but Plano
Senior.
Plano Best.
The Plano.
I had to correct our buddy Pat Doney on Twitter. He said Plano High School. It's Plano Senior High.
Plano Senior High.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. No.
I hear they play no games up there.
Funny stuff.
Sorry, I hate myself.
You know what? I'll pat myself on the back here.
You should.
10 years ago, they had the Built Ford Tough Texas High School Football Banquet, which honors all of the Built Ford Tough Texas High School Players of the Week, and they named the Players of the Year. And Rex Burkhead won it, and I was emceeing that. That was in the bubble, actually, at Valley Ranch back. It would have been 2009, whatever. And
it had to be before May 2000.
Right, it was. It was February 2009. And Rex was a senior at Plano Senior High. And when I introduced him, I brought him up to the stage and I said, this guy reminds me of Wes Welker. He is going to be a New England Patriot someday. And here he is.
You were right.
10 years later, winning the Super Bowl.
You know, he was taller than I thought he was.
He's bigger than Wes Welker.
Yeah,
obviously.
I mean, he's not like a slot receiver,
but he runs routes like a slot receiver,
yeah.
And that's one of the things I loved about him.
When you had him standing there with his parents, his wife, was that his wife?
Yep.
Girlfriend, wife.
Yep.
And he kind of towered over, and his dad's not small.
Yeah,
I was
his
surprised.
dad, and his dad, he's worked security at AT&T Stadium and seen him out here at the Star. You know, Rick Burkhead, great guy, great
he's
family.
the one that gave the lecture here on security.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Bill. I mean, if you're the captain of the bandwagon, which you got some competition, because I know a lot of people in North Texas who love that guy. Is he a free? No, he's not a free agent.
He was a free agent this past off season.
Right,
he re-upped with New England, right?
Right, I think he signed a 3-year deal.
Did he? His skill set would fit nicely. What the Cowboys are looking for behind Zeke.
As a matter of fact, when I talked to his dad about him, he had just re-signed, I think, before he came out here, and he said, he decided that they knew him, he was comfortable there, and there was no sense going and chasing money, that this was a good situation for him to
And that is yet another thing that works in the Patriots' advantage. That's what Julian Edelman did the same thing years ago. In 2014, when he re-upped for the first time, he was like, why am I going to leave this amazing quarterback who's going to get me the ball? Like, I'll take a discount. Yeah, that's fine.
And and he's not a lead back. He's not, but he's a core special teams guy. He does everything for you, and is in a package, or in a role like the Patriots have him. He works perfect in their system, and would work as a second back or a third back to Zeke here in Dallas. He'd be great. I told Jason Garrett leading into that offseason when he came out the draft, I said, I got one name for you, Rex Burkhead. And he remembers that. I asked him later about it, whatever. And, of course, that year he went in the 6th round to Cincinnati.
He's a 6th round pick?
Yep.
I thought he was like a 3rd round pick.
No.
Wow.
I had him as his 3rd round.
Yeah.
So
there you go, that green binder, man.
Did Bill Belichick mention you after that?
Yeah, did you get the shout-out from Bill?
For Goslin. And the Cowboys that year in the 5th round selected Joseph Randle.
Oh man, a great name from Cowboys past.
All right. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Big Green Notebook, it was great on the NFL Honors Week. I was on Saturday on the red carpet. Saw Daniil Hunter, Juju Smith-Schuster, Grady Jarrett walking the red carpet. They're all products of the Big Green.
Oh, there it is.
Notebook. Ernesto in Virginia Beach. You're on Talkin Cowboys. Hello, Ernesto.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. Dave, good to have you on the show. Big fan of the break, draft show, Ask the Boys, all that.
Thanks, man.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
No problem. So a couple of things. Am I foolishly optimistic to think that this team is poised for a run here? I feel like they're getting they're going to get a lot of their core guys back. There's absolutely no way D-Law is going to walk. I also feel like they're going to hold on to either Joe Thomas or Mark Schlittler or both. I can totally see Sean Lee coming back on a discounted contract. And I feel that keeping the core of the team together is going to do nothing but continue to build chemistry with that continuity going into next year. Something that was kind of lacking for this year, but it clicked halfway through. And then the second thing, I like Cole Beasley. He's got a good skill set, and he's a good receiver for Dak. But correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Allen Hurns put up good numbers in Jacksonville out of the slot? I don't want to take Gallup or Cooper away from the field at all with Dak. Put Hurns in the slot. Let him put up the numbers that he did in Jacksonville. I feel like Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
All right, Ernesto.
Thanks for the call. I think, for starters, you're right. Allen Hurns did do a lot of his work in Jacksonville from the slot. He is a guy that can do that. I don't know if he's the ideal skill set for what Dak Prescott's looking for. What part of what makes Beasley so valuable is his ability to separate with his quickness, get open quickly. Allen Hurns doesn't have that type of quickness. Also, obviously, the guy is coming back from a devastating injury. I know they're optimistic he'll be ready by like August or so, but, I wouldn't bank on that. I certainly, whether it's Cole Beasley, whether it's somebody else, I think that's a position you need to address. But to the larger point, so, all right, again, I haven't been here as long as any of y'all, but this will be my 7th season coming up. Like, I just finished my 6th, and this is as few question marks as this team has had. This is as good a reason as I've seen to be optimistic about this team heading into a year. Like, your losses are, coming off 16, you lose your whole secondary. Coming off 14, you lose some key pieces of your offensive line as well as your all-pro running back. You're not dealing with anything like that this year. So I think there is a lot of reason for optimism. However, this team has showed a consistent lack of ability to build on playoff seasons. So I got to see it to believe it, but there is a lot of reason for optimism, I think.
Well, yeah. But why did they not consistently build on a playoff season?
I think there's a lot of reasons for that.
One big one in 2015.
Well,
which one? Oh, well, Romo. Yeah, I get that.
And they didn't have a good backup.
Yeah.
And then what happened in 2017?
Zeke?
Yeah.
What happened in
But they had winning record in 2017. 2015 was just a wasted season.
I think,
and I think whoever decided that Matt Castle should be the starting quarterback should hold responsible for that season.
Yeah, I don't think they were going to make the playoffs with Brandon Whedon either. But
I don't think it would have been 4-12.
Maybe not. Maybe not. 2010 wasn't so great. Wasn't great at all.
How come?
Coach got fired the next year because they didn't play well, because they couldn't run the ball, and that's
got old.
Well, fine, but
the offensive line got old.
How about 2008?
But that was 2010 was
Romo missed 3 games and they missed the playoffs by 1 because Brad Johnson was a terrible backup quarterback.
2010 was similar to what the caller was just saying, though. It's like, you bring everybody back, and you can't count on that. Now,
you can't. No, you absolutely can't.
They didn't add anything.
Well, that's what he's saying is,
how confident are we that they're going to add anything this year?
What are they going to add? They don't have a first-round pick.
They already used it.
They're not going to be major players in free agency, we assume. Even though they have cap space, they're going to devote it to re-signing a lot of their own guys.
They got enough cap space to do what they want to do, if they want to do it.
If they want to do it.
They got enough money to re-sign Beasley, don't you think?
I'm saying...
I think they probably do. Whether or not they should is another conversation.
Well, that's the conversation they've got to have, because how much do you want to pay a 30-year-old slot receiver?
Not a lot.
And will somebody else pay him more?
I think the difference, though, to your point about 2010, is that this is a very young defense, and you think that a lot of these young guys can get better, take another step from last year. And look, if Travis Frederick can get back and play center for you, that's a huge quote-unquote off-season addition that you didn't have this entire season to help your offensive line on the other side of the ball.
Do you guys think I'm crazy? And again, I haven't been here as long as any of y'all, but I think there is an element. This is the Dallas Cowboys. This is the biggest franchise in sports. This is a team that famously hasn't been to the NFC title game since January of '96. When this team tastes success, I think it kind of gets in their way a little bit. Every season that I've been a part of after a playoff trip, there has been some sort of crazy distraction, whether it's the Dez holdout, whether it's Ezekiel Elliott's off-field problems, whether it's, I wasn't here, but I remember even as a college kid watching the circus that surrounded that 2008 team. Like it was they were the most exhausting team in the NFL. And I wonder, that's not necessarily the reason why they don't accomplish their goals, but I think it's an element. I think
it's a hard knocks year.
But it ain't the same guys.
No.
It's
but
not.
But it's the same team. And when you're talking about a team that's this popular, and that's us, that's the local media, that's the national media, everybody wants a part of a good Cowboys team. Well, and I think it contributes to that. 2017 was so insane in terms of how much we talked about everything but football. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But this feels different. And this is February. It's not August.
It feels different right now. You're right.
Because they got a tough schedule on paper coming up. They've got a young team like the Rams that everybody thinks is still the next big thing in the NFC. The Saints are still going to be good. And there's questions about the future of this team with Jason Garrett if he's not extended, his contract's not extended. I don't think anybody's going to look at the Cowboys and say 2008 they were a shoe-in. Everybody thought to make the Super Bowl.
Right.
I don't think they're going to have those types of expectations from the outside.
No, I don't think so
this
either.
year. But we'll see.
We're doing our under review series right now where we kind of look back at the season and try to spin it forward. And I think Fridays was like the biggest off-season priority. I said, obviously you want him to re-sign DeMarcus Lawrence. I think it's important that they do it without a lot of fuss. Again, they got Dez re-signed, but after how many months of headaches?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
4, maybe?
4 months?
What it?
Yeah.
All the way up until mid-July.
From March until July. And, he showed up at the draft. He came out and watched practice. He's tweeting about how he'll never play for the Cowboys again if he doesn't get his deal. Let's not do that with Tank. And that, I get it that there's going to be some negotiating, but let's not get to training camp without getting this guy under. I just, again, try to minimize the headaches because there's going to be scrutiny on this team because they're the Dallas Cowboys and they're coming off a 10-win season. So try to reduce that a little bit, and I think it could pay dividends.
Well, maybe it helps that they're only tied for the 8th best odds to win the Super Bowl.
Is that right? There you go.
16-1, 16-1.
They're going to have to make a decision here in the next month on DeMarcus Lawrence. As far as
March 5th, I think.
Franchise tag.
I mean, I consider that a done. They will do that.
But he'll get the tag if they haven't finished.
Right. I don't expect a deal to be done by then.
Yeah.
I do expect them to have to use the tag as a placeholder, but hopefully once they do that, this isn't a negotiation that stretches into the summer. I mean,
and then the deadline is July 15th or so on
sometime in mid-July.
Mid-July.
Whether we get into a Le'Veon Bell situation.
Exactly.
You don't want that.
You don't. And he's a team leader. He's a good player. He's kind of been the spark plug of your defense, not just because of his play, but because of the attitude that he brings. And you want him there to influence your team at training camp. You want him here in the offseason setting an example, and you don't want people like me writing stories about why he hasn't signed yet. So just get it out of the way.
And you don't want guys that aren't real bright, that are short-sighted, sitting there going, oh, this guy did all this, and
they're still not re-signing him?
Why should I give, instead of thinking about themselves, they're thinking, oh, they won't want me either.
Storylines are going to crop up about this team. That's what happens. But you're in control of that one.
The other thing, too, God bless him, Dez, I think he had some injuries that following season in 2015, and I think he probably could have benefited from a full offseason around the team. And, he had to do what was best for him to try to get that deal done.
He went into that season totally out.
Well, he got hurt right away, right?
Yeah.
First game, I think he broke his foot.
The catch in the back of the end zone.
Yeah. So,
all right.
There was reasons 2015 went backwards.
No, you're right.
26. I mean, it's easy to look at it and say, okay, this happened, but you got to look inside and see why.
You're right,
Of course.
But that's why I kind of put the Pats in a different category, because they had Josh Gordon as kind of their top receiver, and he's gone midseason, and it's like they don't have Romo said it on the broadcast. They don't have a real threat on the outside in this game. Maybe Rams kind of shrink that middle of the field. They still found a way to get it done.
Who were their outside receivers?
Their threat.
Who did they have on the field?
Their threat on the outside is their tight end.
On their only touchdown drive of the game, they ran the same personnel 3 straight plays. And what was that personnel?
Was it with a fullback?
It was
the field?
22 personnel. They had on the field. They had James Devlin, Rex Burkhead, and they had them empty backfield. They had both of them flanked out wide, and they had Edelman in the slot. And they had 2 tight ends. They had Gronk and Dwayne Allen.
They're gonna
pretty fancy.
They're gonna set up a blueprint for the whole league to try to copycat and then flip it on its head.
And why did they do that? Because it dictated what the personnel the Rams had on the field. And
how about that? The fullback on the touchdown made a block at the goal line.
There you go.
Old school football, just like 1993.
Vic's not about these Star Wars offenses, man.
They'll fade.
All right, we have to take a break, and then we'll have about 10 minutes left on Talkin' Cowboys for this week.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for a little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
It's time for Tailgating with the OtterBox boys.
The OtterBox that builds those crazy protective phone cases?
Yup. And now they're changing the side dish game with the OtterBox Trooper Soft Cooler. Lightweight, mobile, and leak-proof, Trooper is perfect for blitzing a crowded parking lot with a Frito pie.
Amazing. Hey, you think I could fit my 7-layer salmon salad into the Trooper cooler?
Yup, but please don't.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Learn more about the Trooper soft coolers at OtterBox.com.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit BetterMoneyHabits.com.
Essilor has been helping Cowboys fans see better since 1972 so they don't miss a moment on the field. Get glasses with Essilor's best vision, clarity, and protection with the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package. 3 innovative technologies in 1 lens. For a limited time, you can double your lenses for free when you purchase the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of frames. Find a participating eye care professional and details by visiting EssilorUSA.com. That's EssilorUSA.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
We still have Jack Black?
I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I have it.
And
Definitely.
they've got some specials going right now on GetJackBlack.com. 2 days left. And if you order at least $35 of product, you get free shipping. So you ought to go on there right now and check out all their faves and get that free shipping at GetJackBlack.com.
So you got your script.
I did.
Yeah. Sounded like it, didn't it, Rob?
We're best friends.
Well prepared.
They just send me stuff.
There you go. All right, we've got 10 minutes left of Talking Cowboys for this week. No one's surprised by the news that became official on Friday that Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator. Of course, John Kitna is the quarterback's coach. It was funny on Thursday. I guess it was Thursday that came out. I don't remember what day. It was Thursday. Mm-hmm. And because we talked with Dak on Thursday morning at the Super Bowl, he was part of a sleep number little promotion, and we did the virtual reality throwing a football, whatever. It was 6 of us, 5 reporters and Dak. Dak finished in 4th place.
Oh, boy.
Throwing the football at what?
It was, you put the mask on or whatever, and then you're seeing a football game. It's really hard.
Don't tell Twitter that.
And
don't let them know.
As Dak said.
They'll actually take it seriously.
Like they did with David Carr.
Yes,
a year
exactly.
ago. Of course, that wasn't virtual reality. But I finished last place, I'm proud to say. So Dak beat me. But we interviewed Dak there, and he was singing the praises of Kellen Moore, and I called him an a young offensive coach, quarterback coach genius.
Yeah, genius, phenom. I think
phenom was the word he used. That's right, phenom. And then the press release came out 2 hours later, and I saw him. I saw him on the red carpet Saturday, and I said, "Okay, so tell me, you knew that was about to be announced?" And he winked and said, "Yeah, I might have known a little something about that it was coming out later that day."
They might have talked to him a little bit about it.
Well, I asked him at the time how much he had talked with Jason and Jerry and Steven and everybody, and he said they talked a little bit about it. So there was input from the quarterback. And as Dak said, he was big time touting Kellen Moore to be the quarterback's coach a year ago. He went to him and said, "This guy needs to be the quarterback's coach." So
here we go.
Got his wish.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so what has not been announced is who's calling the plays.
Right.
And I don't expect that to be announced until we get way on deep down the road.
It's not announced, but it's heavily implied that it'll be Kellen. I think Jason Garrett. Yeah, Super Bowl week is exhausting because everybody's there and everybody winds up talking to the media in some form or fashion. I think Garrett was on his way into NFL honors and somebody asked him and he said, yeah, we kind of expect that Kellen will have a hand in that, but we'll see. A typical coach answer, but
might have been on the red carpet walking in.
Yeah. And so I think it's heavily implied that that'll be one of Kellen's responsibilities.
My understanding is if things don't change, that they're going to rely on him to call the plays. Now, Jason will have input, right? He's got the headset on. He had input with Linehan.
Yep.
And I think that might be one of the reasons things might have went sour between the two because I'm not sure they were always in agreement on what should have been called. Mm-hmm. So, but I'll guarantee you Jason has a hand in coming up with the game plan and kind of scripting things out.
Well, and Jerry, in talking with him about Kellen on Saturday, he said that he doesn't have, obviously he doesn't have the experience and everything, but I told him that it's his creativity and what we love that youthful creativity that he brings to the table.
I think Jerry almost announced it the night before.
He tried his best. Best.
And he hinted that, Kellen may have, I think he said, quote, the ultimate responsibility. That may be the way it winds up. But he also talked about a collaborative effort, wanting input from these young coaches on staff, Mark Colombo. So don't forget, Doug Nussmeier's called plays before at a high level. So, Kellen, if he is the play caller, he's going to have a lot of guys to lean on, including Jason Garrett, who, by the way, called the plays here for a lot of years before he handed over Scott. Mm-hmm. And Bill Callahan before that.
Said he wanted him laying in front of the train.
That's right.
Sounded like that reminded me of Brian, honestly, when he said that. That's
laying in front of the train.
Brian loves to use that dramatic terminology. Oh, stand on the table, we're fighting for our lives. Yeah, so.
That was a broadmanism. It
was a very broadicism.
All right, and then the shocking and obviously sad and tragic news came down on Friday that former Cowboys quarterback and quarterbacks coach Wade Wilson passed away on his 60th birthday on Friday in Coppell. Mickey, I know you were around Wade for a long time, and myself, although I did not know him well, he always had nice things to say. And because I wasn't around him even much when he was with the team. He was here in 95 to 97 and in 2002 as a quarterback's coach. And then came back when Garrett became the offensive coordinator in 07. And I didn't even know he knew who I was, but he would always be friendly and say things about what I had seen on TV or something, and just a great guy.
Well, yeah. One of the nicest people I think I've met in the National Football League. He was a great sounding board because when you went and asked him something, he didn't seek the spotlight. He didn't seek attention. But if you asked him something, boy, he delivered. He gave you some insight you couldn't do. And part of what I wrote in my column last night was that after games when he was the backup quarterback, everybody's all over Troy Aikman in the locker room. And if you wanted to kind of get some insight to what happened, I'd slide over to his locker and talk to him about it. And I'd find out what Troy probably wouldn't say. And he was always spot on. And I saw somebody nationally tweet out that, and I don't know how well they knew Wade. They never covered the team, but said he was the nicest guy they ever met. And I said, well, you just stole my sentiments because that's what I would say about him.
18-year NFL career, and that's amazing. Yep. Talking with Jason Garrett on Saturday, Wade had battled this diabetes, had first diagnosed with it in his 20s when he was an NFL player. And to play 18 years in the NFL, and then obviously been an assistant coach since then. He was Troy's backup on the last Cowboys Super Bowl team in 95. He also was Troy's quarterback's coach his last year in the league in 2000, and also continued in 01, 02 when Parcells came. He went on to Chicago, Wade Wilson did. He came back in 07, and so he was also Tony Romo's quarterback's coach from 07 through the end of Romo's career in 06, and he was Dak Prescott's quarterback coach coming in the league. And talking with Dak on Saturday, Dak was just overflowing with praise for Wade. And as Dak said, I would not be a Dallas Cowboy if not for Wade Wilson. Wade Wilson is the guy that, the way he understood it, stood on the table for Dak.
Yep. He was also the quarterback's coach in Chicago for Rex Grossman, who had his finest year the last year that Wade was the quarterback coach when the Bears went to the Super Bowl. And then he faded away. He was also the poor guy that had to teach Quincy Carter to take a snap under center, deal with 4 starting quarterbacks that year, including Ryan Leaf, who I was shocked to see that he actually tweeted out and thanked Wade for what he did for him. That was a lost soul. And Wade, gave him equal attention, tried his hardest, and I think whatever he said a mentor, a coach, and a father for me from Ryan Leaf. And I didn't think he had any emotion in him whatsoever.
Just so well liked and respected by anybody that ever worked with him or encountered him. I mean, that was everybody's opinion of him, and
I didn't know him well.
Yeah.
But to Mickey's point, like he was just like a straight shooter. There's coach speak is a thing for a reason, and he wasn't like that. Like he would talk to you straight. Like I remember half the time he did an interview, he would say something, and everybody would kind of look around like,
did he just say that?
He just say that?
Yeah.
And then, you're like, oh, great, I have a story. Thanks, Wade.
Yeah. Because you didn't expect it from him.
No, not at all.
And it was almost like you felt like, gosh, he's kind of talking out of school here. But
yeah.
He would lay it on the line.
And sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and just for a guy that, was born in Greenville and raised in Commerce and stayed and played
Star
at East
quarterback,
Texas
East Texas State, now Texas A&M Commerce.
Yeah.
I think all 14 years he worked here, I think he wore the same shirt every day.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing that'll always stand out to me is like his Dallas Cowboys like navy blue T-shirt, but it had clearly been washed so many times that like it didn't have any color left. Like it wasn't really navy anymore. It wasn't gray. I don't know what color it was. It just looked like it had been washed about 9 million times.
Very routine oriented.
Yeah.
He put it in his loop at the end of the day.
Yep, exactly.
Clean one in the morning.
And he was everyone regarded him as a really great offensive mind, but from what I understood about it, he just liked working with the quarterbacks. He liked being in that role. I think he probably could have been an OC or a head coach somewhere, but when you think about what he did, Bill mentioned it, working with Dak, helping that transition, that rookie year, and really he was Romo's guy, the meat of his entire career as a Dallas Cowboy as a starter. That's a pretty big job to handle.
Mick, do you know why they called him Sticks?
I think because he was always very tall and skinny, and so he got the nickname Sticks.
I noticed, Jason Witten tweeted out, and that was kind of his moniker.
So it made me look at what it had on his bio, and it was like 6'3". He seems taller than 6'3" to me, and he was 210. So but he was kind of the same size the entire time, and he just played Minnesota, Atlanta, the Saints, the Cowboys, Oakland. I think I remembered all of them. He's been around and been with so many different teams. Just think about
made the Pro Bowl in '88
with the Vikings. Got him into the playoffs and actually had a good year. I think he spent 2 years with the Saints maybe, and he had one good year there. He took over, believe it or not, for Bobby Hebert.
Oh.
So. But yeah, he's been around this league for 36 years.
Almost 40 years, and I think if you add it up, probably half of it with this organization.
Yeah.
In a different role. Yeah. That's a tough loss. Tough to hear.
R.I.P.
And that will do it. I'm looking to see, by the way, services for Wade Wilson at Park Cities Baptist Church. On Saturday at 4 o'clock. And that does it for Talkin' Cowboys for this week, and we will talk at you again next week.